We have a major update on the Zach LaVine situation going on in Chicago. According to one NBA insider, he reports that Zach LaVine and his camp still prefer not to be traded to the New York Knicks. But not only that, folks, this NBA insider also reports that even if the Knicks wanted to deal for Zach LaVine, they would not be okay including RJ Barrett in that deal. We're going to break down that report and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Zach LaVine and his camp apparently still do not want him in the New York market. If you've been following this LaVine story since the summer, then obviously you know that the Bulls have been trying to gauge his value since the summer and been trying to move him to another team since the summer. But they haven't been able to find a trade package that they've liked enough to pull the trigger. And the Knicks early on were one of the teams that were linked to Zach LaVine because obviously they're a major market team and they have the assets available to trade with the Bulls to get a deal done. So it has a lot of people wondering why LaVine hasn't been traded to the New York Knicks or why there aren't more reports about him being traded to the Knicks. Well, if you remember, Steph Bondy from the New York Post actually reported that at the time during the summer, LaVine's camp did not want him going to the New York Knicks. And after all of the reports and rumors going on right now about LaVine potentially being traded to another team, Steph Bondy actually shook that tree again to see if there was any interest right now, currently, with LaVine going to the Knicks. And per Bondy, he mentioned that currently, even after checking again with Zach LaVine and his camp and sources that know him, he stated that Zach LaVine's camp still doesn't want the Knicks, and that's just part of why a Bulls trade won't work. Bondy continues by stating, there are multiple reasons why a LaVine to the Knicks deal won't happen. A source reiterated to the Post this week that LaVine's camp would prefer not to go to Leon Rose's squad. It doesn't completely rule out a trade. A deal can't be stopped without a no-trade clause. But the Knicks, beyond whatever landmines they would hope to avoid by acquiring a player under those circumstances, aren't a good fit. The Knicks already have a ball-dominant wing in RJ Barrett, who is both younger and operating at a more affordable contract. If you slot LaVine in the backcourt with Jalen Brunson, the perimeter defense becomes an issue. Not only that, and here is the major part of this report here, guys. Bondy states, trading Barrett for LaVine is another route, though the Knicks weren't keen on that swap from what I've heard. This is a major report and update from Steph Bondy here. Shout out to him because during the summer he had us covered and gave us that major update letting us know that Zach LaVine and his camp would not like to be traded to the Knicks. And now, after hearing all the rumors and the reports about LaVine being open to a trade, he shook his sources tree again. And what fell was the following report, that Zach LaVine and his camp still do not want to go to the New York Knicks. But not only that, we have an update from the Knicks standpoint now. The Knicks, even if they wanted to go after Zach LaVine, would not be keen or comfortable including RJ Barrett in that deal. And honestly, guys, for me, that is music to my ears. And I'm sure for a lot of you fans, it's music to your ears too. Because you've seen what I've seen. You're witnessing what I'm witnessing. RJ Barrett is turning the corner. He is operating at a different level, and I think we all see him growing into that player that so many of us hoped that he would have been in year 2 or year 3 with the Knicks. Sometimes it takes some players a little bit of time to get that potential right and to be that player we all expect them to be. For RJ Barrett, it looks like it took 5 years. But finally, it looks like he's gelling, he's working with this Knicks team, and he looks like, when he's playing with the team, the best player on the floor. So for the Knicks, why would you even want to include your best player on the team in this type of deal? It would not make sense at all. And if you look at the numbers, just in terms of efficiency and shooting splits, even though I know it's early on and RJ Barrett has admittedly missed a few games, if you just look at RJ Barrett and Zach LaVine, I think just by the numbers, you'd want to take RJ Barrett over Zach LaVine right now. Now, I'm not talking about scoring 50, because I know Zach LaVine can score points in bunches. He can give you 50 points. He can give you 60 points. But can he give you those points and win? Because even though he scored that many points, I believe the Bulls lost that matchup. What do you care if you score 50 points and you can't brag about it because you lost the game? I'd rather RJ Barrett, who gives me an efficient 25, 26 points a night. Sometimes he can give me even less, 20 points a night, but do everything else. Play make, rebound, help be one of the threats on the Knicks that defenses have to collapse on, so Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and other players on the Knicks can have more room to get it going. That's what RJ Barrett does. He does it effectively. He does it efficiently. And he is an impactful player for this Knicks team. You cannot trade a player like that who is ascending in this league right now. Not to mention that Zach LaVine again stated he does not want to be a New York Knick. So even if the Knicks could trade for him, and he doesn't have a say in it really, and if the Bulls want to take that trade offer, go ahead. If the Knicks get him on the team though, does he want to play for the Knicks? Is he going to be disgruntled? Is he not going to want to step up and play that third fiddle on this New York Knicks team? Will Zach LaVine come to the New York Knicks and be okay playing third fiddle behind Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson? Because that might be his role if he was traded here, especially if RJ Barrett is included in that deal, because likely he would take RJ Barrett's role, which sometimes is third fiddle to those two stars in Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Would Zach LaVine be okay with that? Not to mention the fact, like I stated before, he doesn't want to be a New York Knick, and he likely wants to be part of a different team. So all of those factors included, I think the Knicks do not need to trade for Zach LaVine, because clearly he doesn't want to be a New York Knick. And obviously, any trade offer for Zach LaVine would likely include RJ Barrett in that deal. And if that's going to be the case, I'm happy to hear that the Knicks would not do the deal, and I know a lot of fans are happy to hear that the Knicks would not do that deal because they value RJ Barrett so much, and they would not be keen on including him in a deal for Zach LaVine. And that's really all I needed to know from the New York Knicks standpoint. Now that I've heard this, and now that we know this again, I think we can go ahead and close the chapter on the Zach LaVine to the New York Knicks story, because I don't see it happening this season or really any season moving forward. Zach LaVine has made his point very clear. He does not want to be a New York Knick. Well, you know what? I think I speak for a lot of Knick fans when I say, we didn't want you to be a New York Knick either. So thanks for this report, Steph Bondy. It really helped put things in perspective and clarify a few things. I also wanted to mention this last point that Bondy mentioned in this article. He reported that Rose, who is reportedly under contract through next season, will have to take a risk at some point, meaning take a risk for a trade for a superstar. The former CAA agent, along with his longtime business partner and former CAA power player, William Wesley, haven't lived up to their billing of attracting superstar free agents to New York. They've hit singles at a high rate and a triple with Jalen Brunson, but held back on the home run swing. Another great point by Steph Bondy in this article here, and honestly guys, I've said it before and I've said it in earlier videos that I've done. I agree with him. Leon Rose has promised us year after year after year, we have all these picks, we have all these assets, we are going to get that star or superstar player on this team. But they haven't gotten that player. They haven't traded for that player, and that player has not come here in free agency. So because of that, we're still looking and waiting, seeing what Leon Rose is going to do. Now, we all know Leon Rose, the New York Knicks, they have their eyes on Philadelphia and Joel Embiid. But if you're looking at what Philadelphia is doing, they're playing extremely well. And I think Tyrese Maxey himself is making Joel Embiid want to stay with Philly. So because of that, you might have to look elsewhere. You might have to look at Karl Anthony Towns. And if you guys watch this channel, you know I don't want Towns on this team, but he might be a name that Leon Rose looks at if he's available to potentially trade for. And Bondy is right. It's TikTok right now for Leon Rose and his tenure with the Knicks. And as Bondy reported here, Rose is under contract with the Knicks through next season. So he's going to have to make an impactful move, do something for this Knicks team to help them get over the hump, potentially to be taken as a lethal threat in the Eastern Conference, like the Phillies of the world, like the Bostons of the world, like the Milwaukees of the world. I think Rose needs to make the Knicks in that type of tier. If Rose can make the Knicks look like one of those teams in the East, then I think he'll have his job set and he'll get a contract extension. But if he can't, or fails to do so, or fails to add the talent necessary for everybody around the league to consider the Knicks that type of team in the Eastern Conference, then I think his days might be numbered as Knicks team president. And it might not even be the fans calling for his head at that point in time. It might be James Dolan. Because even though James Dolan is not touching the Knicks right now, if the Knicks continue to go year after year after year without making a substantial move, I think even James Dolan may grow impatient and he might look to make a change or a move to the front office. So that is also something to look for and something to watch. But what about you guys? What do you think about this entire situation with Zach LaVine? Do you care that he doesn't want to be a New York Knick? Or did you actually want to see Zach LaVine join the Knicks at some point? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to let me know about this Leon Rose situation. Do you think that time is ticking for Leon Rose and he has to make a move soon? Or potentially he will not get an extension with the Knicks? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.